beginning of Coriolan, the Overture by Beethoven. It's pretty arresting. It opens in that incredible dramatic fashion, just one note and then stab of chords. Okay, the story of Coriolan is pretty simple. If you don't know it, this is actually based on the Heinrich von Collins version, which was written a few years before this, not Shakespeare, but they're very similar. So Coriolanus was a general, Roman general, came back to Rome victorious, expecting to take over. The ingrates, the ungrateful plebs of Rome decided that wasn't great, so he kicked him out. So he went and found himself an army and came back to destroy Rome and get revenge. And the only person who could stop him was his mother, Volumina, who pleaded with him not to do it. And this left Coriolan stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? He decided not to destroy Rome, but now he's a traitor to Rome. And he's a traitor to the Volscians, who were his allies. He's left alone, and he finally ends it, commits suicide. That's a tragedy, right? Tragedy is really the corruption of the best is the worst. So that's really the story. Now, how does Beethoven take that and represent it in music? Well, it's unique. He doesn't really try and portray the story. It's more just the ideas of these two contrasting forces. So you hear this kind of very dramatic, hammering, masculine kind of music, which is the opening, which is the general and the kind of desire for vengeance. And then that's contrasted with the lyrical middle section, which is his mother pleading for Rome. And this sounds like this. That's a simple melody. People say Beethoven couldn't write good melodies. Well, I think they were wrong. This is a great one. And that's contrasted with the extremely brutal vertical music, which is what you hear, these stabs of chords, right? And this is really the crux of it. It's kind of the meeting of horizontal and vertical in music. Because music exists in time, right? So it's horizontal, so it's always going along in time. And then you get these punctuation marks, these vertical stabs. So it's this kind of cross section meeting the actual flow of the music itself. And that's what Beethoven really plays with here. And he does it incredibly tersely. It's so efficient the way he does it. There's nothing extra in this piece. It's just two ideas pushed together. And then the result at the end is, of course, it fades out as Coriolan disappears and finally dies. It's very much like the Fifth Symphony by Beethoven, which was also in the key of C minor. This key was, for Beethoven, was key of tragedy. Well, that's the Fifth Symphony. There he has just that thing, which is fate, grabbing you by the scruff of the neck, and doesn't let go. And then there's the lyrical contrasting thing to it, so it's very similar to what he's doing here. But this is much shorter, and much more concise, and much more efficient, and kind of tight and taut. So that's Coriolan. And then we move into Shostakovich. So Beethoven, Shostakovich, Tchaikovsky. Beethoven, who of course struggled with being deaf as a composer through a lot of his life. Shostakovich, who struggled with the oppression of the Soviet regime for most of his life. And Tchaikovsky at the end, who suffered the stigma of being homosexual in a society which just wasn't accepted. So there are three real struggles going on with these human beings that wrote this music. Shostakovich, yeah, well, first of all, before I get to Shostakovich itself, I got to talk about the guy who's playing it. Winner of our concerto competition. This is one of the best things we do every year, right? We've kind of got a educational pyramid structure to our program. You know, we go into schools, we do the school day concerts, we introduce people to music, we have some students who sometimes play in the orchestra, and then the pinnacle of all of that is giving someone a platform who's kind of just about to go out into the world and really take the world by storm. And this is Ian Jang. And every year these amazing, it really does give you hope for the future. Every year these amazing young people come to our competition and they just blow us away. And Ian is no exception. Ian's just graduated today from St. Paul's in Concord. So when he comes out, you can congratulate him. He's actually wearing his graduation gear. And he's off to Northeastern next year, so he's just about to... Northwestern, sorry. Northern, right? Northwestern, thank you. And yeah, so he's just about to go out into his life. He's an amazing guy. What I love about Ian specifically is he's kind of just very poised and put together. When we started rehearsing this piece with him, I thought we were going to need a lot of time. Turns out we didn't. Like, he played through it twice, he did it perfectly, that was it. Like, he's just got his stuff together, you know? He just knows this piece is unflappable and is just, you know, he's right there. Which is, for us, is a pleasure to play with. It's so easy just to play along with something like that. So yeah, that's Ian playing Shostakovich. Now Shostakovich, again, it's a bit like the Beethoven. It's very compact. It's very terse. It's very much. It doesn't wander or waffle in any way. It just kind of does one or two things and does it really well. So the opening cello line. So just a bum 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 bum, and then up on top of that you get this very Shostakovich. This kind of rhythm, and you're going to hear that over and over and over and over again. Bum 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 bum. Some people say that's related to, and I don't know if this is entirely true, but it's plausible. I don't know if you know with Shostakovich, he devised a musical monogram for himself. So his name was Dmitri Shostakovich. So he took the letters D, S, C, and H, and he translated them into music. Now D obviously is D. S comes from the German, which is German for E flat is A-S, so E flat, then C, and then H is actually German for B natural. So, if you were here last season, we did Shostakovich 10. You would have heard that over and over and over again. It's his monogram. It's like just putting himself into the music. It's his way of fighting back against Stalin, basically. Of course, this piece was now written after Stalin died. This was written for Mislav Rostropovich, great cellist and a great friend of Shostakovich, but still within the Soviet regime, right? So this opening has that feeling about it. It's kind of got the same melodic, you know. It's not exactly the same, but it's a hint. It's a hint. It's there. So that's the main theme, which we hear over and over again. And one of the most interesting parts of this piece is that it's for solo cello, it's for relatively small chamber orchestra, but it's also for a solo horn that plays at the back. And the horn plays that theme over and over again as well. That bum. You hear it crashing through really loudly, quite obnoxious. And at one point, it gets to the second theme, which is, the second theme is just, it's kind of banal. It doesn't do much. This is it. Yeah, right here. Right, a 5-year-old could write that. What's the point of that? Well, I think he was going for that kind of banality. That melody to him, I think, represented the Soviet kind of the greyness, the dullness, the lack of invention, the lack of creativity that the Soviet regime was, and it was just this pounding, bam, 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 bam. You know, like the beatings won't stop until the morale improves, kind of thing, right? And at one point, it's just the cello playing at the front, and it's the horn at the back playing that music, and it's almost as if the horn is kind of just stalking and hunting the cellist through the orchestra like a wolf. You know, it's just like searching for it. It's really quite moving. It's quite disturbing. But that's basically what this movement is about. There's not a lot more to it. You'll hear these themes coming back over and over again, but that's basically it. So Coriolan, very tight, very taut, single-minded. Shostakovich, very similar, responding to a different situation, but very similar. And then we leave that behind, we take a break, we come back with Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky 6, the Pathétique. Oh, there's a lot to talk about at Tchaikovsky 6. I mean, it's very different from these other two pieces in that it actually creates a very original world. And it does wander, and it does meander, and it does have a lot of it's expressive, passionate, beautiful. But there's so much that's been said about Tchaikovsky 6. I really want to talk about the music, so I'll cover a little bit of the background of it. It was his last symphony. He conducted the premiere, and then 9 days later he died of cholera, or suspected cholera. That started a whole machine of conspiracy theories, right? So which I'll talk about in a sec. The actual name, Pathétique, wasn't really that wasn't really what he said at all. He called it a program symphony, and the word pathétique, which I think may have come from his brother Modest, but we're not sure, was more, it translates from Russian more as passionate and emotive or emotional, rather than pathetic. The idea of pity, you know, that's not in this piece. That's not what it's about. That's not what the pathétique is. It is this idea of being passionate, expressive, emotional. So that's what the meaning really is. So just to clear that up. But yeah, so theories abound. Was this his own self-written requiem? Did he have ideas that he was going to die? Did he commit suicide? There's a theory that he was called up in front of a court of peers under the charge of being homosexual, and they put a glass of water on the table, and then they put a gun on the table, and they said, "Take your pick." That's a theory. I think that's a conspiracy theory, but it's very dramatic. But yeah, so cholera. We do know for a fact that actually there was an outbreak of cholera in St. Petersburg at the time. It was kind of dying down around this time, but it's known for a fact that Tchaikovsky drank unfiltered water at the time. So we don't know what that means. Did he actually commit suicide? Is that what this piece is about? So that goes on, and you'll find any kind of side of the argument out there if you Google it. You know, you'll find any kind of side that you want. I think there is one piece of evidence which is real. It's a fact. There are two facts really. Number one, he thought this was his greatest piece. He loved it. He absolutely adored this piece. And the second little bit of evidence is his brother said that at the time of this piece being performed, when first came out, Tchaikovsky was actually seems like the happiest he had ever been. He was at the top of his powers as a composer. So that's what we know. The other stuff is just kind of what we don't know, what we conjecture. But the music itself, I think, is where you've got to turn to, right? So, 4 movements, traditional symphony, right? 4 movements, except he did something unique. Normally you've got a big first movement full of kind of expression, passion, that's Tchaikovsky. Second movement's a dance, which it is here. Third movement's normally some kind of fast scherzo, and we have a march here, which is kind of like that. And then the last movement is normally some big finale, which he was very good at doing. He felt that was just not right for this piece, and he wrote a slow adagio for the last movement, which actually ends quietly. So you have this, it's really quiet ending. It's the first time it's happened in symphonic music, really. I think there's one piece that I know of, like way back in Haydn, he wrote the Farewell Symphony. And if you ever know that piece, basically is the last movement, everyone just gets up and leaves until there's one person left playing in the orchestra. But that was a joke. But this is not a joke. This is how he felt it would all end for him. Whether he felt it was going to happen in 9 days later, we don't know. But it certainly is that sense of resignation and farewell. And actually, Gustav Mahler, who adored this piece, it's his favorite Tchaikovsky piece, he used that model to write his own Farewell Symphony, which was the 9th Symphony. That would be 30 odd years later. So it's a new idea. In fact, it was so radical still that, every time I hear a new story about Stalin, it just gets worse. The concertmaster Zoya told me that when this piece was being played for Stalin, he reversed the order of the 3rd and 4th movement so it would end happy, because he hated sad endings. I mean, just when you thought that guy couldn't create more, couldn't sin against humanity anymore, well, yes, he does. But yes, it ends quietly. It's important. And it begins quietly. And this is how it begins. So it's got this dark, subterranean feel to it at the beginning. That's a bassoon that's playing that. It's earthy. To me, it's almost like emerging from the swamp or the primordial something, and it's it's something that's starting to coalesce, right? And that's where this subterranean kind of theme comes out. And grows. And that becomes that thing that becomes the theme that becomes the allegro later on. So he ties them together, but it is that kind of just coming, coalescing, something new, something's being created, right? Promethean. And then comes one of the most beautiful melodies that Tchaikovsky ever wrote. If I can find it. so poignant, so beautiful. One of the most gorgeous melodies he ever wrote. Always as a second subject to all of this. Yeah, this is the passionate, emotional first movement. Pathos, right? Pathétique. This is really what it's all about. And there is this tendency for all of these melodies that he writes to descend. All of them sort of tend downwards through this whole symphony. In fact, the very end of the first movement, you just get a descending line. Let's see if we can find that too. Yeah, here it is. Descending bass line just the whole way through. And again, it ends softly. But like I say, there's this tendency for his melodies to descend. And that plays a really big role in the last movement, which we'll hear. So, that's the first movement. Second movement is a waltz. What time signature is a waltz normally in? 3, 4, yeah. No, not here. It's 5/4. Now 5 is a very unusual time signature in classical music. You'll find it in folk music, you'll find it in other places, but in classical music, it's rare. How does he do it? How does he make it a waltz? Sorry. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's one of the most convincing 5/4 that there is in classical music, and I think it works because he takes the 5s and he kind of reverses them and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each time he kind of takes the 5 and he makes it either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's always kind of pushing you off, but every 2 bars you get 10 beats. And 10 beats is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? Even though that itself is a subdivision of a 5. So it's clever, it's really clever what he did. But it makes us really feel, it does make us feel like it's a waltz, except there's something a little limping about it. It's like one leg is shorter than the other. Right? And you get that feeling the whole way through. So yeah, it's a beautiful movement. It's related more to the ballet music that he wrote. It's like the Nutcracker. That's kind of the feeling you'll get from this. But yes, it's got this 5/4 thing going on, which is kind of weird. So yeah, that's second movement, which you get your waltz, which is what you expect. Third movement is it's a march, and it's fast, and it's furious, and it's energetic, and it's joyous, and it's a celebration, and it's all too much. Right? So you're thinking, it's a bit like the last movement of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony, where it's like this mad rush to the end. It seems like it's really happy. What he wrote about that is he said, if you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling down about things, just go out into the world and watch people doing their thing. And it's that kind of feeling of, it's forced. It's a forced sense of celebration, it's a forced sense of joy. Which is probably why Stalin loved it so much. But he's got this, it's an amazing movement, and I'll tell you what, I defy anyone at the end not to applaud, because it just hits all the right buttons, you know, ta, pa, 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 and the audience will explode. They always do, it doesn't matter, it's fine. They always explode into applause, but that's really not the main deal, right? There's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek or a little bit of irony or a little bit of, it's being forced. It's kind of, this is not really real. And that's why he wanted to end it with his adagio. And the adagio it's not a very long movement, the adagio, and again, it is full of descending lines. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here. Soloist, always going downwards, turning back on itself. One of the wonderful things about this melody, which I really want you to notice, I've got first violins here, and I've got second violins here, which is somewhat unusual. There's one of the reasons, well, they do a lot of back and forth, and it gives you that stereo effect. It's really quite cool. But here is a really obvious stereo effect. This melody is actually split up between the first and the second. So the second violins play this note, and the first play this note, and the seconds play this, etc. Right? So it's kind of this twisted version of it. It gets untangled later, but at the opening, you'll actually hear, if you listen closely, you'll hear the melodies actually going across the stage, which is kind of a really cool spatial effect. But yeah, it's just descending lines the whole way through. Even this like the second area or the second subject. Always falling. And at the very end, you can't hear why. It just descends back into the primordial soup that we talked about at the beginning. It descends back into it. It just becomes subterranean. All you hear at the end are double basses. They're split in two, and cellos divided. So it just takes all of the color out of everything and just kind of makes it disappear back into this primordial soup, and it ends with this basses are kind of bum bum ba 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 ba. There's just like this pulsation, and then there's pizzicatos that they play, boom, every so often, boom, except slow, boom, boom. It's just a heartbeat, gradually slowing, and finally stops. And here it is. I'm going to play it for you, rather than I'm going to actually have an orchestra play it, not me on the piano. This is the end. and that's it. There's not much more to be said, right? I think that just says it all. That just goes back to where it all came from. And disappears and dies. It's very genuine. Of course it's very sentimental in some ways as well, but it is a very genuine, authentic piece. It's one of the greatest symphonies ever written. Most original, certainly Tchaikovsky's greatest work. And it leaves you with that sense of journey.